It me reporting whatever the I want.
You don't own me.
Whatever.
You should be scared.
It's tea time. Hello and welcome to Tea Time with Sarah Holcomb, where I, Sarah Holcomb, and fellow comedians spill the tea on news stories that have been going down this past week while having a tea party at the same time. Today we have an extra special episode with military veterans. Our first guest is John McCombs. He is an internationally touring comedian and also hosts his own show at the Lincoln Lodge on Thursday nights. And Dan McCarty. He's an up-and-coming comedian here in the Chicago area and just actually booked his first show at the Comedy Bar the other day, so that's exciting. Let's get into the tea. China has meddled in family planning for so long. They are now facing a population crisis. There are 45 million more men in China. That's by a rough estimate from the Washington Post. And China actually in the early 90s tried to ship over Chinese women to America to marry off into our system. Of course, that didn't happen because we don't play like that. Now they are facing a population crisis because of the one-child policy that was implemented for a while, where they would kill all of the babies after the parents had one child. And if the parents did not have a boy, they would kill the girls until they did have a boy and maintain that one-child policy. No one ever really did anything about it because it's China and they're scary and no one wants to go up against them. 60 years ago, China had the worst famine ever recorded in their history, where 45 million people died, and it was completely self-inflicted by the government not allowing the farmers to have the resources they needed to farm. It had nothing to do with the climate. Between 1973 and 1976, the Communist Party in China tried to ship 10 million women over to the United States so that they could immigrate and marry our men because they had too many women. But now they're facing a population crisis. So what was that all about?
So they tried to ship them over here? How did they do that? I'm just curious of like, did you just put them on boats or like, all right, just go that way?
They had planes at that time.
Yeah, but that's
like,
true, but that's a lot of
million,
people.
Yeah,
that's a lot of planes.
Yeah.
That's a lot of full rides.
But you know those shipping container boats, that's like 5 boats.
Knowing China, that's probably how they'd ship them.
Yeah.
They're crazy.
Sorry, Miami, you got a huge shipment coming up. 1 million Chinese women.
I feel like no one calls out China for anything.
Yeah, because they want that money. Now
They'll
that
shut you down.
because they have like the 3rd, 4th largest economy.
This video
in
goes
the
out
world.
on YouTube. It's gonna get buried.
Oh yeah, they want those. They didn't want those dollars. And they're the reason why we have 9 Fast and Furious movies. All right, and like they keep making Transformers movies because they love those movies over there. And they're like, who the F is still watching this? It's China.
I'm fascinated seeing the difference between the movie posters, like the American movies, and then the Chinese releases. Mm-hmm. Black Panther, for example, like they took the actor out and it was just the mask.
They show up to the movie, they're like, hey, wait a minute.
Wait, who's that guy? They edit all of our biggest resource for the world is entertainment. At this point, that's what we disperse. And China just has their fingers in all of Hollywood, and they just edit their stuff out to fit their narrative and fit what they want to say. Watching it, it's frightening.
I didn't know that. I didn't know they had like so much influence over Hollywood.
Oh
yeah.
Oh my God, I had no idea.
And like, especially big Hollywood blockbuster movies now, if you watch, they'll usually have some kind of reference to China. They'll have like they'll literally like throw in a random Chinese actor or have a scene that takes place in China or something like that. They'll throw it in there just so they can attract a Chinese audience.
When was the last time we saw a big Hollywood movie where China was the bad guy? It's always Russia now, right?
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
They turn out like World War II after World War II after World War II movie. They're like, there's a lot of stuff about the Korean War, but we don't really talk about
How much do we?
I heard plenty about it from my grandpa over like the various Budweiser cans he drank every night. It's like PTSD and shit.
Just staring out a window out it rains.
1,000 miles stare. Yeah.
They were everywhere.
I also think I might have some Korean family members from some of the things that he said.
Yeah.
So there's some things that went down in Korea.
Man, he told you the whole story, huh?
Yeah.
Did not skimp on the details.
Yeah, and he also learned Japanese from a Japanese woman. And I'm like, how did you get to know her so well that she taught you Japanese? Like,
Sure, they were just friends.
yeah, of course. I'm scared to do 23andMe because I'm gonna like get connected to a bunch of people in Japan and Korea and be like, oh my god, cousin.
Grandfather is the white Genghis Khan.
He has never let the wars go because he was in like war so many times. He went to Vietnam like 3 times.
Yeah.
So he
Jesus Christ.
like somebody was stealing the copper from underneath the neighbor's house, and I guess muscle memory kicked in, and he was sitting at the window with a shotgun the whole night. And I'm like, this is not normal.
So he's in Korea and Vietnam?
He was in like every war. It's like he was constantly at war. Even wars we don't really hear about like in mainstream. He was in those.
So I feel like we're a little spoiled in our day and age. Like we've had one war since we were kids. And it's like, yeah, we go over there.
It's been going on forever.
It's just like there's kids who joined up at 9/11 who now have kids that are now going in to fight the same war. It's like back in the day, you could take your pick. You got Vietnam, Korea. It's like you get to go everywhere.
Yay!
Man.
Were you ever deployed overseas?
I had fun deployments. They were drawing down from Afghanistan when I went in. So, like, my first deployment, I went to Romania, which was like the main hub for troops returning from Afghanistan. And then my second deployment was to Spain for a crisis response thing where we were acting as a possible rescue team because they were doing air missions over Libya at the time. So if a pilot got shot down, we would go in and get him out of there. So.
Oh, some serious shit though.
Yeah, but I mean.
Fun, but it was super serious.
Yeah, you sit in on some briefings and stuff, about hey, we're gonna blow these people up, and we're like, cool. That's a weird moment when you're like, we're just having a casual conversations about how we're gonna kill the people we're watching on TV.
I've noticed a lot of military people are in comedy.
Yeah, I mean, you get a gallows humor, from working that, and you learn to laugh at a lot of not so funny stuff. And I think it really kind of helps lend to, okay, how can I, construct a joke and come out of left field and, get a little surprise and joke about some maybe more sensitive topics. I was a bomb builder, right? That's what we did. Aviation ordnance was kind of in charge of all the weaponry for the planes. And I was on an aircraft carrier.
Oh my god.
And you see just little shadows running around and then, and you're like,
oh my god.
yeah, it was ours.
They made it entertaining for you to watch people blow up.
Our motto is warheads on foreheads. That's our get hype.
America.
America. That's fucking war in the 21st century. Is you watch it like a video? It's like a video game. You're watching people, and it's just like.
No wonder you guys are in comedy now. You're like, I need to get out of this trauma somehow.
Wasn't trauma.
It wasn't trauma. Of course it wasn't trauma.
Well, for me, it was just like the Marine shit I did every day, which was like, hey, let's fight each other and choke each other out.
Got into a lot of fights with people, just for fun.
You just scrap. It's not that big of a deal. You get over the fear of physical violence.
Cotton candy, purple sand, purple sand.
This tea is fantastic, by the way. I'm usually not a tea drinker.
That's good.
Ever since the British, they know what they did.
They know what they did.
We're not letting it go.
They think we're all friends now. No, people don't forget.
The British always talk so much. They're the ones that have the most animosity. The Irish like us. They want to be friends with us, but the British, they hate us. And it's like, you guys are sore losers.
No, the
relax.
British, okay?
Yeah,
I've gone overseas enough times. No, the British suck.
Yeah.
The British are absolutely garbage people. We can't. The thing is, our poor people can't afford to go to Paris, okay? But they can take a Ryanair flight, which is the same as Spirit Airlines, $50 to go to Paris, and then you get all those people fighting motherfuckers in the street and trying to take a piss on the Eiffel Tower. We show up there, we're like, let's go to a museum, let's enjoy the culture. Like, well, let's find the Notre Dame and rub my dick on it.
It's not a big deal for them,
Yeah, exactly.
The British have been kind of going down lately because of the whole Meghan Markle and Prince Harry interview with Oprah, what they said about the whole thing with the British family being racist. I thought it was so amazing when the Dominican Republic and Australia, removed the queen from their head of state after that interview. I was like, damn, Oprah. Oprah's changing the world. Like, in just one interview, is the next day, that's when they made these decisions to remove them. So this, hundreds of years of imperialism is just
Yeah, she was alive when they were all colonies. Like, she saw that happen, and she was like, yeah, they're ours. Like, we own Nigeria and India. Like, those are ours. Like,
whose face is on your money?
Yeah,
that's who owns you. Okay.
It's so weird because no one ever says that she is responsible for any of it. They're all like, oh, the queen, they love her. Like, the Brits love her. Like, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry don't even say anything bad about her. They say that there's a system behind her that's in control. What is that system? She's the queen. Like, what? I don't understand.
Who does she answer to?
Yeah, she's the queen. I'm glad that we don't call her the queen. I actually get upset here when people are like, the queen, they refer to her as the queen. I'm like, what queen? Queen of what?
call her
Queen?
Liz.
Yeah, Liz. What a Liz? Like, queen. Like,
Liz 2.
we won a whole war, so we didn't have to call her that. So yeah, we have presidents now. Not like it's much better, but whatever.
The animosity comes from they're like, yeah, you go ahead, get out there. You'll never be as good as you were with us, and then they're like, these bastards are thriving.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they're terrible. They're fat and annoying and obnoxious and rude and Hawaiian shirts. They don't even know how to drink tea.
And we took their prince. So what's up?
Yeah, we took their prince, and the coolest one too. We took the coolest prince.
Yep.
He wanted to be in our country, so I mean, what up?
Story. We're reporting from Pretoria, South Africa, where a 37-year-old woman gave birth to 10 kids at the same time. 10 babies. 7 boys, 3 girls. Gosiami Sithole, whatever you want to, if you want to play with that. Yeah, that's her name. The babies were conceived naturally through C-section, and at 29 weeks, she holds the record now for the most simultaneous births at 10 children. And the father, he's sticking around. So good on him. And also, she already had twins, a set of twins who are age 6. But she just gave birth to 10 more children. That's
like an entire child care center. She's got a dozen kids now and only got knocked up twice.
Yeah.
It's not okay.
We need to ship her to China.
Yeah.
Let's solve their problem.
On the bright side, she can make a movie, maybe a sequel.
South Africa, it's not America. Yeah, she's not getting her TLC show. Man, 10 kids.
They look pretty happy.
Yeah, she's all smiles, and it literally looks like she's holding an exercise ball just under her gown. And he's got to get snipped. It's got to
be done. Very fertile people.
Guys, it's not just on the ladies. You can get snipped.
Yeah.
Do it.
Please.
Think of your wallet. I mean,
after one set of twins, why roll the dice?
You might end up with 10.
You can only shop at Costco.
Imagine taking a trip. You need 2 cars. You need 2 minivans if you're taking the family anywhere.
Once again, we are putting American standards on this family. So South Africa.
How many minivans is it going to take?
This is South Africa, okay? It's 1 motorcycle and a sidecar, okay?
So according to Bloomberg News, the prospect of coming back to work from their work from home, people are deciding to just quit. So I see it as the start of possibly the biggest workers' revolution of our time, because now the laborers can control the market. You walk in, name your price. You need employees? I'll work for you for X amount of dollars. How badly you want to stay open?
One thing I think is going to happen, though, is that they're just going to make robots to do the job.
Well, that was their big thing. Where you ever see that meme? It's like, oh, you want $15 an hour, and they show a McDonald's little kiosk where you can order your hamburgers. It's like, welcome to your new replacement, and now it's like, okay, and they're like, wait, no, we didn't actually mean that. Robots can't cook the hamburgers yet.
Right.
We haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah, they can't drop the bank, and handle the inventory.
The robots cannot talk to an irate woman who was shorted 1 chicken nugget.
But wouldn't that be awesome if a robot did? It would just sit there and stare at her blankly and be like, ma'am, and repeat the same shit over and over again.
Like, look, ma'am, you're going. I do
Service
not
box.
appreciate that tone of voice. Like,
Programmed
be-
with sass.
Alexa's voice talking back to them. Imagine they'll just break the robot.
yeah, they'd have to make it like punchable, you know, because
It's
a
like,
robot's definitely getting hit. I would love to see that, like World Star Hip Hop videos of like customers beating the shit out of a robot at McDonald's and shit.
They did have a traveling robot at one. Did you hear about
I
that?
heard about that
It
guy.
went through Canada and like everyone's like, ew, it's the robot.
Hitchhiking robot, yeah.
Yeah, and then once it got to the States, it was immediately destroyed. People just destroyed it, beat this shit up. So
I believe it made it to Philadelphia.
Yeah, it
and
was.
they're like, not in our f***ing city.
yeah,
I mean, have you been to Philadelphia?
These fucking robots coming in trying to take our jobs.
That tracks, man. It doesn't even matter. Every
Yeah.
robot could have been nice. They hated
He was
Santa.
nice. He had to hitchhike to get his way
They
through.
threw snowballs at Santa. You think that robot stood a chance?
They're ferocious people over there, I tell you.
Yeah.
Something about being back east.
I do like the East Coast. They definitely tell it like it is.
Yeah, if you're from Philadelphia, just know that we're completely serious and you're a terrible person.
Yeah. You guys for what you did to that robot. So rude.
You know, I'm 100% in support, man. You know, like let people need to get paid. And they need money,
Absolutely.
and you know, like especially now, prices of everything going up,
Constantly.
and so it's coming to a head. Like eventually, you were gonna have to pay people more. I don't know where people got this idea. Is like, oh yeah, I'll just keep paying people the same as I was in the '80s. Like, what are you talking
Yeah.
about?
I think it's just wonderful for what it says, you know, about us, where, you know, the government came in and said we're going to do minimum wage, and then I said, oh, we'll put that on the back burner, and then American workers said, nuh-uh. They're just like, no, yeah, we're putting that right here. Like,
Yeah.
so the government's not going to do it by enforcing a minimum wage. The workers are saying we're going to get ours, and I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of stuff is online now anyway, since they figured out how to do it. And people are doing like OnlyFans, just figuring out their own way. Bigo Live is a
Yeah.
thing. They just live stream their life and people pay for it. It's very odd. People are finding a lot of different ways to make money these days that don't require going into an office.
Hell
They're
yeah.
realizing we don't need the commute. We don't need the oversight and the micromanaging.
Oh my
We
God.
don't need to smell Terry's fucking coffee breath.
Oh.
Like, what do we need to come in for?
No.
And it's finally giving us, you know, the power to say, hey, you want us to hear? This is what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
I told my boss that. She knows I'm not coming back.
There
She
you go.
knows.
So thank you, coronavirus. Nobody says that. Nobody says that, but you know what? Some things, yeah, thank you.
Sometimes you gotta shake shit up,
Yeah.
and then let's see how it goes from here. So,
It's a thankless virus.
Yeah. It did a lot. You know,
Corona.
Corona, man.
I'm all about the revolution.
I do think that it is going to be like the roaring 20s again. Like there was a revolution in the 1920s. It went from the Victorian era to the 1920s, which was completely different. I mean, a completely different planet. That's kind of the same thing that's happening now, 100 years later, exactly 100 years later.
The history with that too, obviously, you know, the Roaring '20s, but then a depression afterwards,
Exactly.
and then you know, we were talking about inflation, and it's coming. It's already here,
It's
and
been
rates of hyperinflation, which you know, in Germany led to the fall of the Weimar Republic and the rise of Nazi Germany. So, but
Oh my God!
you didn't know that?
I'm just thinking like if history is going to repeat itself, we're in trouble.
Yeah, and fascism has already kind of had its little heyday or resurgence already in many places. So
it's rearing its head. It's like showing little spurts and spats, and then people are kind of like, I kind of like that. We need a strong man.
yeah, that's what I'm.
It's a slippery slope right there.
Yeah, that's what I'm fearful of, especially with you know, where the GOP has been headed in terms of like curbing voting rights and no longer wanting to appeal to popular policy, but trying to just restrict people who will vote against their desires. They know they're in the minority. They don't care, and you know, signing their loyalty over to a man who has shown that he is very much in favor of an autocratic style of rule, and anybody who goes against that gets shunned and beat down.
Dude who can't even keep up a successful blog.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a buffoon, but at the same time, you know, a lot of people who are learning. They're
learning his playbook.
yeah,
They're going to be
and
a little
they're
better at it.
yeah, and they might not make the same mistakes and say stupid crap on Twitter and whatnot, but they'll be way more efficient at engaging. And I don't know where that heads, but hopefully we find a way to bring ourselves back from that.
Well, that's one thing that gets me hopeful about, like the worker revolution, and then you see the financial revolution going on with like AMC and GameStop, and that stuff's almost anonymous, so there's no political, racial, religious divide. It really is like the 99% going up against the fat cats. It's not getting reported. They say that the revolution won't be reported, right? Because of course the fat cats own the fucking media. That kind of stuff going on, Reddit and stuff, all those pages. You don't know who you're talking to. You don't know who's doing this data. You just, you read it and you make your own decision. I'm going to put my money into this. And it's just like I've been told my whole life, like, speak with your dollar. Well, this is a situation where speaking with your dollar actually has an impact. And it's like, all right, so this is what you can do. And you see it, and, you see in the media, it's over. But if you're following along, you're like, it's still happening.
Yeah.
It's very much still happening. And it's only, just beginning, really.
Let's keep it going. Let's make sure that we, keep fighting for rights.
Yeah.
And like people be like, well, why do we need a Voting Rights Act if there's no longer systemic racism? Because it can very easily come back, and it is already coming back. And
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, and so if we aren't very active about stemming it off, it will rear its head back and slowly eke its way back into society. So it's why we need to still stay vigilant about, making sure that we fight for the rights of normal people.
Viva la revolution.
Yay. So that was the tea with John McCombs and Dan McCarty. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you back next time. Bye.